The rain started as a whisper against the windows. By nightfall, it was a full-throated symphony of wind and thunder, turning Ethan's quiet house into a sound chamber of memories. Storms like this used to mean stories under the covers, flashlight shadows and warm bodies pressed close together. Now, it was just him and Max, but tonight, they weren't alone. Julian had come over to drop off a box of emergency Fort supplies blankets, fairy lights, and a projector that cast constellations onto the ceiling. He hadn't meant to stay, but Max had begged. And Ethan, despite himself, hadn't exactly protested. Now the three of them were in the living room, wrapped in a tent of quilts and pillows. Max lay in the middle like a king on a velvet throne, clutching his stuffed sandwich plush, Stanley 2.0. The projector cast shifting stars across Julian's jawline, giving his profile a soft celestial glow. Ethan couldn't stop looking at him, especially when he laughed at Max's ridiculous questions. "Would you rather fight one horse-sized banana or 10 banana-sized horses?" Max asked. Julian barely hesitated. "Banana-sized horses. Because I could tame them, teach them ballet." Max howled. Ethan just smiled, his chest aching in a way that wasn't entirely unpleasant. Hours passed in the fort. They told stories. Max tried to explain the plot of a dream he'd had, and Julian illustrated it in real time on an napkin. There were dragons, Pop-Tarts, and something called a lava unicorn of justice. Eventually Max's eyelids began to droop. Ethan reached to lift him, but Julian stopped him with a hand on his arm. "Let him stay," Julian whispered. "He's safe." Ethan hesitated. He looked at Max's son's mouth slightly open in sleep. His body curled protectively around the plushie and then at Julian. "Okay," he said, his voice low. Julian lay back beside Max, one hand behind his head, eyes on the shimmering ceiling. Ethan settled on the other side, not sure how it had happened, somehow not wanting to be anywhere else. The rain softened, thunder rumbled distantly. "You good?" Julian asked softly. Ethan turned toward him. Their faces were close now. The closeness was startling but not unwelcome. "I don't know," Ethan murmured. "You're here, in my house, in this weird blanket tent with my kid." Julian chuckled. "It's a little domestic, I admit." "It's more than that," Ethan said. "You're a fitting in. Like you've always been here." Julian's expression changed, less easing. "More careful. Is that bad?" he asked. "No," Ethan said, voice cracking just slightly. "That's the problem." A beat. Julian reached over and adjusted the blanket over Max's shoulder with an instinct Ethan noticed and deeply felt. "You scare me," Ethan whispered. Julian looked at him then, eyes darker than usual, as if the storm had moved inside. "Why?" "Because I want to trust you," Ethan said. "And I haven't wanted that in a long time. And Maxie, he loves you already. If this goes wrong, he loses something too." Julian didn't rush to answer. He shifted closer, their knees brushing beneath the blankets. "I know it's fast," Julian said, "and messy, but I'm not going anywhere." "Ethan, not unless you tell me to." The air between them felt heavier, now electric and fragile at the same time. Ethan's breath caught. "What are we even doing?" Julian's hand brushed Ethan's. "Tentative, testing. Maybe starting something." Thunder rolled outside again, softer now. A hush settled over the room. Then Julian leaned and Ethan met him halfway. It wasn't a full kiss, more like a question, asked in silence. Their lips brushed, paused, lingered. Ethan pulled back first, eyes searching Julian's. "I've never kissed a man before." Julian smiled gently. "You just did." And Ethan laughed, quiet, surprised, like something was uncoiling in him for the first time in years. Julian's fingers found his again under the blanket. They didn't kiss again. They didn't need to. They just lay there, close enough to feel each other's breath. Sometime past midnight, Max stirred, mumbling nonsense about a cheese volcano. Julian adjusted his pillow, whispering something comforting. Ethan watched from the other side of the fort, his heart full of a new, quiet wonder. He didn't know what would happen tomorrow, or next week, or a year from now. But for tonight, he knew this: Julian was here. Max was safe. And maybe, just maybe, so was Ethan. They cried, they kissed. They thanked whatever strange fate had brought a single dad and a lonely artist into each other's orbit. They didn't need a perfect story. They'd made the truest one they could. Together.